Well, the weekend's here. Aren't you glad? This is Saturday, February the 15th. John chapter 21, verse 21. And our lesson in the Word for you today is don't look at Christians, look at Christ. What in the world is this talking about? Well, John 21:21 says, when Peter saw him, which is the Apostle John, he asked, Lord, what about him? What about John over here? Well, what's going on? Jesus has been crucified on the cross. He's been buried. He's risen from the dead. And now he's spending 40 days talking to his disciples, teaching, preparing for his ascension to heaven. At this particular time, he's having a conversation with Peter and the other disciples, but specifically Peter. And he's restoring Peter. You remember, before he went to the cross, during the trials, Peter denied Jesus 3 times, denied that he even knew him. And what Jesus is doing, he's restoring him now. And as Jesus talks to him, he also gives Peter just a hint of some very difficult things that he's going to be going through. And so Peter hears his master say these tough things that he's going to go through. And then he looks over there and sees John and says, okay, but what about John? If I'm going to go through this, what about John? And Jesus said, what difference does it make to your faith what happens to John? You focus on your faith. Sometimes we look at other people and use them as an excuse to not obey what we know God is telling us to do. One way is, everybody else is doing it. My sin, it's not too bad. Everybody else is doing it. God says, no, I want you to be holy as I am holy. But God, everybody else, they're doing it. He's doing it. Why are you after me when they're doing it too? Don't look at them. Look at God. Or nobody else is doing it. God tells you to do something and, well, they're not doing it. They're not doing it. You told me to go talk to people about you and I don't see anybody else doing it. Don't look and see what other people are not doing. Be obedient to God. Keep your eyes on God and do what he tells you to do. Or, I'm afraid I don't know enough. He knows more than I do. God's not calling that person to do this. He's calling you. I'm afraid I don't know enough. God will give you the words. If he tells you to do something, he'll also equip you to do what he's telling you to do. He's done that throughout history. And throughout history, people have made this excuse. Remember Moses? Oh, but God, I'm not a good speaker. Send somebody else. Jonah? No, I don't want to go. I don't like those people. Gideon? But Lord, I'm the smallest of my clan, and my clan is the smallest of all of them. There's always excuses because we compare ourselves to other people, and we don't match up. God says, get your eye off of other people and get your eyes on me. Or sometimes we say, people won't like it, what you tell me to do, or that they won't like me. There's no way this is going to succeed because people will not listen to me or accept it. Again, we're looking at other people. Our focus has to be on God. Remember when Peter got out of the boat and he was doing the impossible? He was walking on water. Jesus told him to come. So he got out of the boat, he's walking on the water until he realized he was walking on water. And then he looked at the wind, he looked at the waves, he took his eyes off of Jesus, and you remember what happened? He started sinking. As long as he had kept his eyes on Jesus, he was doing the impossible. And it's the same message for us. When we look at other people, what they're doing or not doing, we compare ourselves to others and we say, God, I'm not as good as this person. I can't do that. We look at others and compare ourselves to others. We fail. Keep your eyes on Christ. So often we look at it from our point of view and not God's. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 18 says, as we look not to the things that are seen, but to the things that are unseen. For the things that are seen are transient or temporary, but the things that are unseen are eternal. It's those eternal things. When we look at God, it's those eternal things that we're dealing with, things that we can't even imagine. We're able to do unseen things. Why? Because we're trusting in God. So rather than compare yourself to other people or the situation that you're in and look at others, keep your focus on God. Remember Cain and Abel? Physically, Cain still lived, but spiritually, he was dead. Physically, Abel was dead, but spiritually, he gloriously lived. You can think of Abel in death, but you can also think of Cain in death. The sinner is dead while he lives. What Cain did, his testimony is one of death. Abel's is one of life because he was obedient to God. How about you? Do you want to teach truth and life? Keep your eyes on God. Be obedient to Him. And then trust Him to do what you cannot do. And you know what? You will see some unseen things that you never dreamed you could do in the power of God. Have a nice weekend.